Hello and welcome back to our class. This is the introduction to information technology tool. We have talked before in the previous meeting about the cloud technology and how it works in today's society. We also talk about the development of the cloud itself, how it has become today as a powerful tool for our society. This week, we are going to furthermore focus on the cloud technologies, but we are going to focus more on how it is become uh, tools for work collaboration. Because in the focus of this course, we are going not only to give you an insight about the information technology that we use as creative use, but also how it is used as the commonly used technologies in workplace. So let's get started. Before we begin, let us be reminded about what a workplace is. So we will have the same view about the definition of workplace. So workplace environment is something that consists of a physical location. As I mentioned before in the previous meetings, this is a place where we can collaborate and also a place where we have a surroundings that supports the workers in there. It is also could be defined as a form of the employees which involve in their job and collaborate with each other. So it's more like a connections between the workers and their colleagues and also their boss. So this is what we call a workplace environment. So in what we call the professional way, workplace should be divided into uh, some kind of focused activity. So we should divide it with our individual or private life. That is how we do it in the society. And it has become also a concern not only in the IT environment but commonly has become a problem as well in the common society today because some of the people couldn't divide between the workplace and private life. That's why, for example, in Indonesia, we have what it called healing situation where we try to get away from the work. We try to do something like holiday, going to the beach, the mountains, or somewhere we think we can heal ourselves. That should be one of the options that we took if we are going with the professional ways of doing things. But it's still up to you whether you wanted to be professional and try to divide things. We also have a kind of a principle in IT that we do 24 hours of work and we do not stop until our project is finished. This is true for some parts of the IT, such as the programmer side or uh, the project manager side. So it is still up to you. Okay, next, let's take a look of how the workplace evolved. So throughout the times, workplace environment have changed. Since the introduction of our technology and tools, the workplace has evolved into various kind of environment. If you are aware, one of the biggest company in IT, if I will give you an example, the Google, they have some kind of a fascinating workplaces. The one that we usually know about the workplace in Google, that uh, it's quite flexible. I even seen that some of the workers in the Google have tried to sleep in the office because the facilities is provided there when they are tired of work, when they wanted to finish their projects, but they think that going home or taking a rest in their home would be a waste of time. They would choose to just stay in the office, and it's all provided there, and it has become not only an environment but a culture, a new culture that is shown and proven as a successful culture. That's why some of the biggest company try to make a bigger environment and bigger culture in their daily life. We can see that if you remember that I talk about Silicon Valley, where all of the IT companies try to build up in certain area. Yeah, that's kind of a sample of the evolution of workplace. So all of these changes could happen when the employees needs need to be catered, and it's need to be provided to ensure their working habits fulfilled. So that's why it would also become a beneficial to the company when we are trying to see or observe how the workplace evolve. We can see today that uh, not only in Google, where they are introducing the hybrid workplace where everybody can work uh, anywhere they like. For the example of this pandemic that we faced before, we have been introduced by this kind of habits, this kind of working style that ensure the efficiency and the work progress is done even more better than we are going with our normal life. And for your information, this kind of habits, this kind of workplace culture has been uh, used long time ago by the big companies. That's why it should be become one of the observation as one of the leader of the company. Hopefully, uh, all of you who are trying to become uh, the IT based companies owner could try to observe and think about how the workplace become a beneficial in our daily life. Next, so this is the workplace that is shown on the pictures. We have the eight, the 80s, where we are introduced with the old technologies, but still a fascinating one because this help the companies, the industries today. We have what we call an a PC that so huge and so heavy, but still giving us flexibility during that time. We also have the 90s where we are introduced with the new operating system, not only for the first introduction. We have the Apple, if you remember, one of also the largest. 90s we are introduced with IBM, and also in operating system we are introduced by the Bill Gates operating system, which is the Microsoft Windows. And also the 20s, the 2020 that we have today, it has evolved even better, and it helped us better. Even that some of the technologies have its own disadvantages, its own weaknesses, or even that something negative came out of it. But we could manage to control the information technology so it would become a better technology that we could use today. So back in the 70s to the 90s, workplace used to be something that made as a cubicles. If some of you that maybe watches TV, where you see a lot of people, employees going to their office, it's usually in the Western world. It was made up into cubic, so it has become one of the most common office that we are know. Before it was started somewhere in the 70s until the 90s. Employees usually work on their own and they need to focus all the time. This is quite different with what we have today. In the today workplace, the environment is not limited into individual work. In our modern world, in the 2020, we have an environment that where we could collaborate, and in some case it is required to do collaboration. But seeing the fact that we have today, this is not entirely true for some older generation. So as you aware today, we have three kind of generation that we could say still running the world today. We have the boomers generation where uh, usually the executives, and we have the millennials such as me, where we are somewhat more focused on the use of the technology and how simple the use the use of the technology can be used to make a better society. And also the third generation, we have what it's called the XYZ generation. So it's a combination between the boomers, the millennials, and also the what we call the generation today. And in today's generation, this this the last generation is the one who is usually working as an employees in entry level. So we have that kind of three generation where we are going to discuss and focus on how we are going to combine them, make them collaborate. Honestly, uh, the it's not something that I would say out of pity or revenge, but to be honest, when we are facing with older generation, where usually in the boomer generation, they have in fact some kind of problem when they are facing that technology. But this is what we have to do to try to make a better way, because uh, we still need to collaborate with each other and try to make them also understand how we collaborate and use the information technologies. That should be the focus of our course today. So workplace in this kind of area, in this era, sorry, a lot less technical oriented as well. That's why the generation where the workplace is made has a little bit of problem, where they doesn't really use what we call today's technology, a technology that uh, dynamically used. They use what we call analog technologies that just do what they are told to do. It is quite different from what we have today, where we have AI, we have robots, we have what uh, a system that could support our decision or even do a decision by their self, where I meant the system itself make a decision for us. So what we know from the IT back in the 70s up to 90s, we have what we call fax and printing machines. That's what commonly used in that era. Now, for example, in the workplace in 2000, it is more focused on comfortable life because in 2000 we focus on where the millennials or the first millennial has become the entry level back in the trend. So us millennials, we more focused on how we are feeling comfortable in the workplace, because this is what the common uh, millennials generation tries to achieve in back in their work days, especially as a fresh graduate or what we call entry level. So millennials tries to things like a comfortable or comfy sitting, and also where they try to use what we call today web 2.0, where we try to focus. Back in the days we have where Yahoo is still something that is much powerful. Google is still a new technologies in the market, and using video conference is a little bit of limited because back in the day the telecommunication, the internet is still limited. And when 2010s workplace, this is a more advanced technologies of the workplace, because it take a huge shift when the executive back in the day realized that the technology become a huge benefit, and where the millennials has become more than not a fresh graduate but have some kind of power making decision, where they can try to fit what their point of view, usually in kind of comfortability or in design matters. Because I don't know why some of our millennial generation thinks that what we see is uh, what we should get, and they try to make a design of a workplace that's comfy but still uh, traditional way, where we can communicate with each other, where we have to face, because the environment in this time is still also limited to the connection. I remember back in my 28 2010s, uh, I'm still living in a small village and we only have a limited connection. Maybe some of you doesn't know, we have what we called back in the day GPRS. If you know this kind of technology, then I think you are too old now. So that is how workplace are made in the 2010s. The workplace in this time also is highly designed, because we pursue to see things in a artist or stylish way, even though that our production or products back in the day is not really enhanced by that kind of uh, workplace that we did. But still, I think this is become a huge leap into our workplace today. Now, the workplace in the 2020s, that what I described early, that because of the COVID pandemic, it has changed the way we work, and I think it would last forever because when we usually introduced by a new technology, it won't go away that easily. It even will evolve or transform into something better. And I think this is a good one because uh, this proves that by the use of the workplace where we focus on the uses of IT, people have seen the advantages not only for the professional that I mentioned before, the professional life, but also in their quality life as a private life, such as a family or even just by themselves. Where in this workplace, the employees are remotely working from home. We have the capability, we have the internet connection that we could make, we could do meetings over video calls, and yeah, we may still facing problems like, oh, there's bad connection, but it's still a lot of time better than bad uh, before. And also we know that in this era, we have to adjust to what we call a new normal, a new culture, and we managed to do this kind of uh, adjustment. So now we know what the workplaces are and how they are developed into IT-based environment. Now, let me introduce you to cloud technologies that we learned last week and how we use it as our tools for work collaboration. So one thing that we have to understand that collaboration should be a crucial part not only for a small businesses but entire community of businesses, because without the communication between all of the parts of the company, it is impossible for us to get anywhere, especially during the pandemic time where we cannot go anywhere. Even we are trying to get some food, we are limited to how we move. And that's why using the IT, especially using the cloud technologies, it should be a crucial part, because when we are going to do collaboration with team, it would be more spaced out than ever if we are going to collaborate using the cloud technology. Even uh, with a small team, it could also be difficult for us to do it because we didn't use the right tools. We are, for example, maybe we are trying to do our small virtual meeting over the WhatsApp video call, where we are limited, we cannot share our screen, where we are just FaceTiming, where just we call with each other, then doesn't have any visual aid to show our works. It will be a difficult one when we don't choose the right tools for our collaboration in the workplace. This is where cloud technology in collaboration comes into play. So we have, for example, that the popular one, we have Zoom. It is need, needed to be paid in front, but from what I know, Zoom also provide a free one for over 40 minutes back in the day. We also have what we call this one. It's similar to Microsoft, and it is a Microsoft, but it's quite different because this one is Microsoft 360. I forgot 360 or 365, but what it focus in how we use the Microsoft Office as a collaboration tools where we can just edit a single files of maybe Word, maybe PowerPoint or Excel with each other. So we can type each other. Where for some of you, maybe in literature, where you are trying to make some small stories, and you need to use Microsoft Word to collaborate and write with other people. You can use something similar to this. We also have uh, an alternative for the Zoom. This is Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams is also one of the tools that we could use using only our browser, not only to do video calls, but also do some other things like open the Microsoft Office online, or maybe sharing some tools, get using a chat rooms, etc. That's the sample of the cloud technology. Now uh, we come to the question: how could a collaboration tools can improve our works? So with most cloud collaboration tools, we have what we call advantages into what we say advantages of transparency among all the tasks and the projects that we do using the cloud technologies. Because why this become a transparency? Because everything we do can be seen to whoever has the privileges to access the data, the works. It's still limited, but we have the transparency to be shown to the higher ups. Imagine us as an employees. Back in the day, without the tools, without the cloud technologies, we doesn't have the tools to show our works to our bosses, to our executives. We only can give them reports, but they didn't see how we work at all, how huge that we did, how our maybe some of our teams didn't show their they didn't do their work. But using the cloud technologies, we can do what we call monitoring to see how we successfully do the task and how we progress through the task. And it is done simultaneously. Sorry for my bad English. So these apps functions in a workplace that's been healthy from the start. Only by the using of this cloud technology amplify things that has worked for the team. That said, some teams may have problems. Of course, that will be a problem, but I think we still can manage how we use technology. We cannot we cannot go away from the problem, because whatever the workplace is, whatever the era, there could be problems that should be solved, not run away from. And also we need to introduce a software solution where sometimes it may solve the problems, sometimes it may just add more problems. So it's still back on how we decide to do things with the IT that we choose. Now, let me define you some collaboration method using a cloud-based technology. So the cloud-based technology is a collaboration technology that not just focus or provide the communication between employees, between colleges, but also to help teams work together. share the files. They can make changes in real time without waiting for the others to send the files. Hey, give me the file using WhatsApp. I will wait for you. You don't have to do that. And we can also do it wherever we are or at any time we want it. Me personally, I don't care about work hours. I don't care about where am I at the moment, but what I care is if I'm going with the workplace collaboration, I will be able to do it as fast as I can. So by using the method in the cloud-based collaboration, this would also be achievable if we do it using multiple platforms, not only by PC or laptops, but also by mobile technologies as well. So, what do you think about this cloud technology? Did this also help you on your society or on on your societal life, or should you deny the fact that cloud technology should be used today? It's all up to you. Let me also give you an example for the cloud technology that we usually use. We have what we call video conferencing. This is the most used from collaboration, not only even for collaboration, sometimes for us to hang out with our friends. But this is what make the society still runs until today. We don't have to spend much time to see with our colleagues, or maybe in our private life we want to see our parents back in the country, or what else we want to do to communicate with each other. That's why this should be one of the infrastructure that we need if we are going to use the information technology. So this is an idea that uh, encourage it to be a necessary or needed technology in the workflow, since communicating with only audio sometimes shouldn't be enough, because we don't know we can I don't think we can focus more if we are just through with the audio. We also need to know that within the pandemic in the last few years, we are using work culture that uh, a completely new. Sometimes we fight over this kind of technology. Sometimes we don't see what is the point of the technology, but the facts shown that we could be beneficially use this technology for our own society, because uh, we have seen the fact I also described you earlier that the technology improve our our society by giving us the freedom to choose the work that we wanted to do. And this is one of the communication that we could use today. We also have team messaging. We can collaborate with each other. Of course, I think you know about Gmail, right? Email that we use to message ourselves. We can set up into groups as well. And this is a tool that gives you a space for the employer to have a conversation, not only through text, but also pictures, videos, or even just simple things like audio. Yeah. So, team messaging is a space where employees can have a conversation, where they can exchange ideas as well, and it should be something that we should do today, not only because sharing ideas should be do offline, but Sometimes idea could bounce, could disappear in real time. That's why when we are using cloud technologies, ideas should be able to be recorded in the technology as well. Because sometimes we forgot our ideas, but hopefully by the implementation of the technologies, we can have some records of our idea. Oh, I remember I have an idea about this kind of project, but I forgot. But I remembered that I described it on our group chat. That would be a great example. Next, we'll also have what we call file sharing and editing. You guys know Google Drive, right? It also connected to other applications such as Google Docs, where we can edit at the same time. It improves our competency, our collaboration by doing this. So sharing things, editing things online make life much simpler. And we can do it simultaneously with other members on one digital files and based on what we call cloud-based storage that able to give more performance better than without using information technology. Just make sure that all the technology that we use is one of the most up-to-date version, because that's the safety measurement when we're using IT. We have what we call in IT, uh, bet, the bigger the better. So also in kind of the version, we see the biggest version, the latest version is available. That should be the better, but not all the time. But still, what I say, this is a safe option, a safety measurement. We also have screen sharing. This is also help when we are going to present online, especially when our workplaces is focused on visualizing our product. Sharing what happened or what we are doing on screen let some people to show or even educate people more easily. It is also true. Right now, I'm sharing my screen to educate people, and it's easier. It still maybe have some problems with the interaction, but it's still better than nothing at all. And it still come back to the people who wanted to be educated as well, whether they want to see or not. So this is still a freedom of choice, where if you want to learn, then you watch the video. If you doesn't, then it's all up to you. But still, every choice has its own result. So be patient about what you choose. For me, I would, as a student, I would like to study, not only to get my certificate, my bachelor degree, my master degree, or even maybe a doctoral degree. But for me, um, doing education when we are trying to become a student, it's not only to focus about getting the certificate, but also to get the knowledge that we needed as the students itself. So we would become a better person when we graduate. So this also means that people in the group would have things on the same page. The screen sharing tools would also able to give you freedom if the person who share their screen allow the teams to control their screen. It would allow them to do things on the same screen as well. Some of you may have tried this at home using maybe Zoom or what I mentioned earlier, the Microsoft Teams or other kind of application. Although that using this technology, some user needs to be aware what they show on their screen should be restricted. You don't want to be seen. Like I know that some of you seen the news that a bad things has been shared from the screen. A bad things has been shown from camera because we have a bad culture when we are using the cloud technologies where sometimes we don't care what we are wearing. Sometimes we don't care that what happened behind us. I think this should be also a warning to us all to be more careful, especially when we are using this kind of screen sharing technology. So let's move on to the characteristic of a good cloud collaboration. So it should have at least four main characteristics, which is the first one is ease of use, multifunctionality, scalability, and integration. So ease of use is when the scale of the team of employees is small, everyone need to be as productive as much as possible. They cannot afford to spend days or even hours training and educating themselves about the new tools. That's why we need to have an awareness or adapting techniques in order to learn about new tools. We should restrict ourselves into uh, focusing or learning a new tool. That's why uh, also when we are trying to pick a cloud technology, we need to say that the, the cloud technology has to be ease of use. That's why ease of use is one of the most important things to consider when when choosing a cloud collaboration solution for businesses or even private use. You don't want to be having a problem if you do things at your workplace that doesn't uh, that is complicated to use. We also need to learn about the scalability characteristic because when we are doing workplaces, we assume that sometime in the future our company would be big, so we need to have the continuity of the technology because sometimes what the cloud technology offers is limited to how much the user use. So that's why we also need to know about the scalability because employees will grow along with their team. They wanted a collaboration tools that also should be able to grow with them. So, for a small sample, we have what we call Google Drive, right? We have what we call disk capacity. By the time goes when we are going through our company in 10 years, these spaces should be able to uh, focus only on the first disk space that we use. It should be able to grow. Maybe from the starter 10 gigabytes is fine, but in 10 years 10 gigabytes could be nothing at all. Because if we see the sample even for the WhatsApp chat that we have today, look where we have been. From 100 megabytes storage that we use for our WhatsApp, today maybe we can have up to 10 gigabytes of video documents, pictures, or even audio that we have. And it would be better if we don't delete it unless our storage is limited to that. Because who knows that the data that we saved from 10 years ago that we need today, especially in collaboration. Well, also that makes sense to choose a basic because of the cost effectivity that we have on our workplace early. It won't work when we are famous, when our company is bigger. So the bigger the company, the bigger the expenses that we need to cover as well. I thought it might not happen in the first predictable future, but we need to be prepared. The next one is also about multifunctionality, where a cloud collaboration solution is more than just a way to communicate with people within the team, because the features offered by each tool will vary from one to another. To find the right one for one's businesses, they need to know what additional functions are most important to their team. It doesn't just focus on the how much the cloud technologies uh, offer their service. It's also focused on how the functionality can be used for the company. The biggest benefit of using this kind of multifunctional tools, it puts almost all of the scenario that could happen in our community, in our workplace, uh, be solved by the function of this cloud technology. We also need to focus on our integration, because not only cloud collaboration tools have a lot of features, it cannot do anything if it's not integrated into another operating system. This is why integration would be important, because nobody will wanted to be stuck only in one technology. Nobody wanted to see PC all day. Sometimes they wanted another technologies to help while they are walking, or maybe having some kind of other things to do, or whatever they wanted to do. So it should be the focus characteristic when we are going to perform a good cloud collaboration. It's You can add more characteristics as you like, as you observe and analyze the uses of cloud technology as well. But these four should be fine for us for the start. Next, let's continue into the challenge, because we are implementing our cloud collaboration tools. So one of the problems that we face when we are trying to implement our cloud technology, and when we are in a big company that use cloud technology has what we call SaaS, software as services, that we learned last week. At least they have 16 to be managed internally by their operation. It become too much thing to learn at the same time, especially when we are going with instant panic on the pandemic that we face. Back in the days, you may have remembered that how we are scared to go anywhere, because we don't know the complication of the pandemic, and we uh, have to prepare for the worst. And by using the application that has been presented or introduced to us, it become a problem. Too many application at the same time that we need to learn. Even for an IT guy who usually use computer, it even too much things to learn at the same time. So by analyzing the problem that we face, we could decide how to do or solve this problem by deciding the purpose of the tool, especially if they are already using other applications. We don't want to use Zoom and Google Meet at the same time, because it's overlapped with each other. Just one, because Even if we choose one, we still need to teach even our colleges about what we need to do using the Zoom tools. So it would be a huge challenge, and that's one of the solution that we could choose. Do not overlap the same application. So, and when you are going with Microsoft Word, then don't use Google Docs. But if you're using Google Docs, do not use Microsoft Word because it will overlap with each other functionality. Next, we have the problem of absence of an organization-wide collaboration strategy. This is in a global level where no matter how great a collaboration tools people use within their company, it won't do any good if collaboration is not a part of their company values. So the company should develop a collaboration strategies that encourage employees to collaborate and communicate with each other. That's how we solve this absence of collaboration strategy. We made a strategy that we communicate with each other, that also focus on the practice of how we communicate, such as how we ask colleagues for inputs, offer constructive feedback, or even reach a common consensus. So that's why it should be an important thing to learn about this kind of challenge and how we could solve it. Now let's move on to the sample of cloud collaboration tools. So we have Microsoft Teams. This is also uh, one of collaboration tools that have a lot of uh, programs to choose from. So we have what we call Microsoft Office 365. So you can use the Office products that you love, such as the Microsoft Word to type, to make some articles, and it could be a replacement for Google Drive if you have to choose between packages between Microsoft or when you're trying to use Google. So we have what we call OneDrive. It's basically the same. It could save, edit, and share files or documents and collaborate with other colleagues in your workplace. So this is one of the tools that could be potentially used if you prefer on using Microsoft products. Or if you are familiar with the Google products, you can use what we call Google Workspace, where a Google products is available for you to choose and use. We have the famous Gmail that we use. We have Google Drive to save our files, Google Docs to edit, Google Slide even to present our documents online, Google Meet to video conference, and there's so many tools that we can choose. We also have a Ring Central. It's an app for phone, a team messaging for video and task management tools that allow the team to share the file. It also could create and manage tasks for our workplace and also work together uh, mobile. Even though that this application look like a chat-based tool, in this kind of application, user can easily make a phone call, which we can use in case of that we don't have the internet connection, and we can simply switch to video calls if we wanted to use our internet connection. What makes it different? This kind of application usually featured free. It is made to help the others. It's different with the Microsoft Teams or even the Google Workspace that offer their services based on subscription plan. This uh, started from a free services that we can use if we are tight on our budget. We have also Slack. It's also another popular cloud collaboration tools. If you wanted to uh, try something else that you think would be a better choice for you, it has the common application such as the messaging, video call, and also file sharing, and also give you a free offers, but it doesn't come without some limitations. So the numbers of available messages, for example, is limited just for 10,000, meaning you cannot scroll back after the chats. This is, I think, a better offers because the services that they give you is free and they need to look up to their services as well. That's why 10,000 messages I think would be fine if you're not planning to save a lot of record or data using the cloud technology, because it's also helped them for their cloud technology environment. So it's a win-win situation or solution for us to choose from. We have Rike as well. So Rike, more like a cloud technology for project management. So basically for executive, it is to manage the communication between the colleagues in the workplace, and this kind of tools prioritize into organization and information management for collaboration. It's also could help you in your project data in real time, which is great for small businesses with a lot of different moving pieces. Sometimes maybe your small businesses have a lot of things to do but tight on the budget. It could integrate communication platform only in-app communication using a text base, which might not be enough for some collaboration workplaces. So based from the sample that I give before, what do you think the tools that we should choose? Well, I think what you could use is something that you wanted to use, not basically from others' recommendation, but I think it would be better for you to test it for yourself and just try uh, to choose based on your own preferences, not by what people say. Oh, I recommend you to use this. This is great. Sometimes it won't be fit enough for you and it won't be comfortable, especially for me, for the millennial generation who really love to choose things based on the comfortability that I could get. That's why some uh, generation of millennials like me uh, doesn't feel really good when we try new things, because we don't feel the comfortable zone if we try that kind of a new thing as well. We also need to know that cloud collaboration tools are future proof, which means that the way the digital world is evolving, uh, there is no other way but to look forward. We cannot go back without using our technologies. We cannot go back with our smartphone. We can't just simply put away our cell phone. So it is better for us to move forward, especially using the cloud collaboration tools, cloud technology. It would be fully digital. It would also help us uh, save more trees. It's eco-friendly. We don't need to sign anything on the paper, so we could save the energy as well, because it should be uh, a good decision to move along with the cloud technology use. This tool has also been proven to be relevant, especially after the pandemic hit in 2020. Whether your teams are in-house or remote, digital collaboration tools is proven could able to maintain our communication, collaboration, and productivity as well. So, what are you waiting? You can start now to do the cloud technology. We will also maybe have some times later to practice about this kind of tools if we have the time. But for now, you can look up the references that I use for this discussion, for these meetings. And I will see you again next week or next meeting. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye bye.